Hello everyone, and welcome to Victoria's Action Figure Cantina. Today we're having a look at one of my absolute favorite figures of all time, the Hasbro Star Wars, the Vintage Collection ARC Trooper Commander, based on Captain Fordo from the Clone Wars micro series. Here's a look at the packaging. As you can see, it's the same overall style of the Vintage Collection packaging. You get a nice rendering of an Episode 2 clone trooper who is done up to look like an ARC trooper. Pretty nice. And on the back side, you see an image of the very first ARC Trooper Commander figure, which coincidentally is right here. Just take a look at him. Haven't we come a long way between ARC Trooper figures? Yeah, they've evolved quite a bit, as you can see. This original ARC Trooper Commander came out at the same time as the show, back in 2003, and he himself was a repaint of the same figure with blue markings. Now, there are what I like to call three phases of the ARC Trooper figures. This original one right here is part of Phase 1, and then Phase 2 of the ARC Trooper figures is this guy right here. This ARC Trooper debuted as part of a comic pack with Anakin, though it had blue markings. Hasbro went on to repaint this figure a few times in different colors, blue, red, yellow, in different configurations, different pauldrons, different camas. But yes, you do see the evolution of these guys when you look at the original, the first phase, the second phase, and then the third phase, which, we have today. So this is basically the evolution here of the three phases of the ARC Trooper figures. Now, as far as these ARC Troopers go, Hasbro actually did two ARC Trooper Commanders for the second phase, the guy in the middle, and that would be this guy right here. Essentially, it's the same exact figure, just a different kind of paint scheme, brighter reds, different camo. Now, there was also a battle pack back in 2006 called The Hunt for General Grievous, and it was made to accompany the Republic gunship that came painted in what they sometimes call the space whale or the shark paint scheme. And basically what it was is it took several of these guys right here and repainted them in a more vibrant blue color. There was a commander figure in that battle pack with the red markings, but he was different from these four figures here. He was more a mix of this mold here with the extras of this guy. He was also the only ARC Trooper Commander to feature a little yellow marking here on his gauntlet, as well as the back of his crest there in the helmet, which is accurate to the show. None of these other ones have it, for whatever reason. But that figure itself, while a nice figure overall, did not hold up to these newer iterations of the ARC Trooper. As such, I recently parted with my Hunt for General Grievous battle pack set. So, now that you've had your history lesson, let's focus in on the Vintage Collection ARC Trooper Commander. As you can see, he's brilliantly sculpted. He looks a lot like the ARC Trooper Commander from the Clone Wars micro series. And although he is very close in appearance, he is still not quite perfect. He's very close, but he's just not quite there. Once again, he's missing the yellow markings from his gauntlet and the crest on the back of his helmet. And he's missing the rings that he should have on the lower leg. Basically like these other ARC Trooper figures had. They're on the legs, as you can see. Additionally, he has red marking there on his knee, which isn't accurate either. And he's missing the stripes down the sides of his arms. But there's a reason for that, and we will get to that in just a moment. Give you a close-up there of the helmet. As you can see, it's nicely painted. It's sculpted really nicely. I like that the antenna is sculpted on there. Some of the older ones, it was just a little plug-in, and that had a tendency to easily fall out. So it's nice that it's sculpted, though the helmet is a little bit oversized, and I think that kind of gives it more of a cartoony feel, which is good in this sense because he does look more like the ARC Trooper from the Clone Wars micro series, but it's still a little bit oversized, a little more so than I would maybe like to see. And you get to take off his removable helmet, and underneath you have Captain Fordo. It's definitely different. It's pretty cool. He's definitely more modern looking guy, I should say. Facial hair there on the chin, the hairstyle. Not bad. I'm glad that they did something different rather than just sticking on another generic clone head. So, you know, in that sense, I think it's pretty cool. Now, in terms of articulation, Captain Fordo has a ball-jointed head. He has a hinge here at both of the shoulders. Now, I should note that it is a little bit hard to move, not because of the pauldron, but because that piece of shoulder armor right there, it kind of hinges on this, you know, his white armor right there. So it makes it really hard to move it in. Not to mention there's no visible articulation there. It's there. It's just hidden underneath. So, you know, you have basically an extra layer, and that's good for looks, but, you know, unfortunately it's really hard to move his arm out. He also has hinges here at the elbows, and those can be rotated as well, of course. And then he has a ball hinge here at the hand. On his right hand, it goes the other direction, so you can see. He has a ball hinge here at the torso. He has a ball hinge here at the hip, which is really nice and gives you very good range of movement. He has ball hinges at the knees, and then he has ball joints here at the ankles. On his belt, Captain Fordo has a holster that holds his two pistols. And what's kind of cool is that this is kind of different. To put him in, it's pretty easy, as well as to take him out. He just has these two folding pieces right there that make up the holster. And, you know, they make it pretty easy to just kind of stick it in there and pull it out at will, which is kind of cool. It's definitely different. And those are also the two pistols that he comes with, which is great because Hasbro has never gotten it right in terms of equipping their ARC Trooper commanders with the appropriate pistols. Previously, we've gotten the two that came with Commander Devis, which were, you know, maybe about that long or so. Totally inaccurate, so it pleases me that they finally got it right by giving him the two correct pistols he had in the micro series. And there's a fun little depiction there of Captain Fordo leading his ARC Troopers into battle. As I did mention earlier, Captain Fordo is essentially a third phase of ARC Trooper figure, so he doesn't really blend in all that well with the troopers that surround him. What would be really cool, and I'm not sure that we'll actually see it, but I would absolutely hope that Hasbro would go back to the drawing board with this guy right here, the Vintage Collection Clone Trooper Lieutenant from 2013, and basically give him a pauldron and a cama just like Captain Fordo, but in the appropriate coloring, of course. And that would be really awesome because for the most part, him and Captain Fordo are essentially the same figure. Alright, so I mentioned earlier how the painted kneecap is not accurate to the film, nor is the lack of stripes on his arms. And the reasoning for that is because this Captain Fordo, quite awesomely, can easily be changed into his armor as seen in the final series of the Clone Wars micro series. So for that, you get a bandolier as well as the accompanying helmet. To make this transformation, you take your ARC Trooper Commander, you remove his helmet, you remove his head, you remove his pauldron, you move his arms out of the way, and you gently twist off the torso. You remove his belt, and then his cama here has a little rubber band. You just kind of stretch it out over. Not only does that look really weird, but you'll see in a moment where this is going. So you take the torso of your Fordo, and you have this little opening right here. So what you're going to want to do is kind of just slide it over the head, well, where the head would be. And then you're going to replace his torso with his bottom half, like so. And then you button it at the back. You put his arms down. You put his head back on. And you replace his new helmet on his head. And voila. You now have Captain Fordo in the armor he was seen with in one of the final, if not the final, Clone Wars micro-series episode. Which is awesome because we've never gotten a figure with this armor before. So, kudos to Hasbro for going the extra step and, including the option to switch the armor. Yeah, ideally, we would have had 2 separate figures. But, hey, if we were never going to get 2 separate figures, then, this is the next best thing. So, I'm really happy with it. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. As a huge fan of ARC Troopers, I absolutely love this ARC Trooper Commander Captain Fordo figure. From the sculpting to the paintwork, the great shades of red, the brilliant white, the awesome articulation on him, and the awesome fact that you can change out his armor to create both versions of the character. This is one of the best figures that Hasbro has put out. Certainly one of my absolute favorites. And just seeing him like this reminds me a lot of that episode where Fordo was on Coruscant, kicking the hell out of the droids' butts. Thank you for watching Victoria's Cantina. Till next time, bye-bye.